Hello guys, and welcome to another video. In this week's episode of Keeping Goals, I'm going to be talking through how to make a football CV. A football CV is key if you're a footballer looking for a new team, whatever age, or if you're trying to get into a football team at a university or a college, and hopefully this video will be able to help you out. If you enjoy the video, if it gives you some value, please give it a like. It will really help us out with the YouTube algorithm, and if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe for more Keeping Goals content. Without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Keeping Goals. First of all, before we get started, I want to say a massive thank you for all the support on the video from last week. It seemed to be a big hit with you guys. A lot of you seem to enjoy it. I really appreciate all the feedback. It was very kind of so many of you to also jump in the comments, let me know different teams that I should be looking at or different opportunities that you've heard. I really do appreciate that kind of support and help, and there were some really good ideas in there as well, so I'll be going through them and hopefully something will come of it and we'll be able to find a team for next season. I mentioned in that video that at this time of year, in the summer, it is very important to have a football CV ready for agents, for clubs, especially if you're a free agent like myself who's looking for a new team next season. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to make a football CV, what to include in it, and especially as a goalkeeper, what you can put in there to help get an opportunity with clubs or with agents. Now, football CVs are pretty easy to make. All you need in the beginning is to open up Word or another text creating document. You can use the different resume or CV presets which are already included in a program like Word, or you can create it yourself freely. There are lots of different opinions on the best way to create a football CV, but this is from my opinion and from my experience in professional football, what has worked well for me. So this is my football CV. I've opened it up in a PDF view, but as I said, you can make it in Word, and that is where I made mine. A big shout out initially to Matt Sheldon from Become Elite. His videos and his tips were really helpful when I was creating my football CV a few years ago, but I've added some differences in here and some things that I've picked up through my career which have really helped me. Now, the first thing that you want on your football CV is your name and your contact details. These are the most important things that you want a coach to see. If they want to get in touch with you, they need to know where to find you, and they need to be very, very obvious to them in order to do so. So I've put my name and my mobile number, which is fake, and my email address up in the top left-hand corner of this football CV so that it's one of the first things that a coach or an agent would see. Next thing on the right-hand side is a page number. I will go into more depth about why my CV is 2 pages. A lot of people say that it should be 1 page, but there are reasons for mine being 2 pages, and I will tell you later in the video what those reasons are. But if your CV is more than 1 page, you need to probably have a page 1 of 2 or a page 2 of 2 up in the top right hand corner so that the person reading the CV knows that it continues for more than 1 page. The next thing that you want to include in there is a little bit of a bio of key information about you as a player. So here I have nationality. That's very obviously important if you're playing overseas or abroad. So I have British and Irish nationality. You also want your date of birth. Include the date of birth instead of an age, because obviously your age will change, whereas the date of birth is consistent and you don't have to keep changing your CV. I then have my position, goalkeeper, my height, and my weight. Now, these are key things that you obviously want to tell the truth on, and they're very important that the coach knows this basic information about you before they look into more deeper detail about you as a player. And finally, one of the other key pieces at the beginning of your football CV is to include a headshot. So here I have a headshot from one of my teams. If you can include a headshot where it's professionally taken and you're in one of your kits, that obviously makes the CV look a lot more professional. The next section of the football CV is when you can start to go into a little bit more detail about yourself as a player. If we look at section 2, you can see on my CV that there are 2 external links which take you to different pages. The first one is a transfer market link. Now, Transfer Market is an independent website that tracks footballers based on their performance statistics, showcases which clubs they've played for, their market value, these type of things. It's very popular here in Europe with agents and with clubs and coaches, and a lot of them will ask for your transfer market link if you're getting in touch with them. If you don't have a transfer market link, don't worry. It normally depends on the level that you've played at already as a player. I only got mine this season. It's not the be all and end all of trying to get a contract, but if you do have it, make sure you include it. The second link, as you can see, is a link to my game highlights. Now, a game highlight video is equally as important as a football CV, and I'll be doing a video very soon about how to make a game highlight video. But for now, what I will say is try and include a highlight video from your most recent games or your most recent seasons. You can then include the link to that video in your football CV so that it's very easy for whoever's reading the CV to just click on that link and follow it. That is much easier than trying to send a full video file of your game footage. In order to get a link for the video, you can either upload it to YouTube as a public or unlisted video. The next section of the football CV should show your playing history. Now, this is all the different teams that you've played for in the most recent seasons. Now, the amount of teams that you will show will depend on your current age and your current level. There's no point me showing the teams that I played for in under 10s, under 11s, when I'm a 24-year-old professional goalkeeper. Now, as you can see, this shows the teams that I've played for in the last 4 or 5 seasons. And these are all the teams that I've played for as an open age footballer. So not the youth team or the academy teams, but the semi-professional or professional teams that I've played for. So the way that I've set it is to have the most recent seasons and teams first. You have the date of the season, the team that you played for, the league that that team was in, and even the country that that team was in if you need it. Then below each of those teams, I've included 2 or 3 key points about my time at that club. Now, this is the time that you get to sell yourself to whoever's reading that CV, a coach, a club, an agent. You want to show off basically what you've done with your previous clubs and highlight the positive aspects that you've had in your career so far. So as you can see in this CV, I've included the number of appearances, if I've kept clean sheets, if I've had team of the weeks, my penalty saves, assists, notable things that I've achieved during my time at these different teams. Don't be afraid to sell yourself. You're competing with a lot of other players for those opportunities. So if you've done something well, if you've had good performances, make sure you try and include it in a short, succinct way in this part of the CV. And finally, here at the bottom of page 1, I've included my references for my CV. Now here you want to include key coaches, goalkeeper coaches that you have worked with throughout your career. You want to have their name, their position, the club they were at, and the contact details, so that whoever's reading that CV, if they want a third party's opinion on your ability as a player and the type of player that you are, they can contact these people and ask for a reference. You obviously need to ask these people's permission first before you include them as references. So if you have ex-coaches that you've worked with who you feel will be able to give you a good reference, ask their permission if it's okay for you to include them as a reference on your CV. A little key tip for this is to keep people that are probably reputable within the game, people who other coaches or other agents might recognize as a respected coach or someone with a big reputation, and that will obviously help you with your reputation and your CV. Now we move on to page 2 of the CV. Now, a lot of people say you should have only 1 page for your CV because people's attention span is very short. People are very busy and they're not going to spend too long looking at your CVs, and I do agree with some elements of that. Within football, clubs, coaches, agents get hundreds of CVs all the time. They don't have time to read every single word on each CV. For that reason, I agree that it is very important to include the most vital information in the first page of your CV. Those are the things that clubs and coaches are going to look for first and the most important information for them. However, you also want to show that you are more than just numbers and that you have other qualitative skills. So, as with any other job application, you don't want to just show your achievements, your numbers, your statistics. You also want to give a bit more of a description on what you're like as an individual, as a team member, and in our case, as a footballer. So here on page 2 of the CV, I've given a little bit more detail with a description of what I feel are my best attributes as a goalkeeper and as a team member. These aren't necessarily skills that you can convey with numbers or clubs or statistics, but they're things that I feel key to highlight about myself as a person and the value that I could bring a club. And I've backed this up with evidence using the link to the Guardian article from my time in Spain, which I feel shows what I'm like as a person and the resilience that I have and some skills that I can bring to a team. Now finally, in the last part of my football CV, I include some more in-depth statistics about my performance on the pitch. It's easy, especially with goalkeepers, to judge them solely on clean sheets or goals against. You could be a brilliant goalkeeper, having a great season, performing really well, but conceding a lot of goals due to a lot of other factors. So that's why I like to include more in-depth statistics on my performance, such as shots saved, cross success, pass accuracy for both short passes and long passes, and this is something that I've started keeping for the last 2 seasons, so I've included that in my football CV. Like everything else on the second page of this CV is more luxury information. It's something that if a club or a coach or an agent is really interested in you and they want to know more, they're going to look more in depth. But I will repeat that it is very, very important to include the most important information, the most basic information, and the information that most coaches, clubs and agents will look for on the first page of your football CV. But that's it for this week's episode of Keeping Goals. I hope it brought you some value. I hope seeing how I build a football CV can help you at whatever stage you are in your career. If you enjoyed the video, if it brought you some value, please give it a like. It will really help us out within the YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't already, please make sure that you subscribe so that you never miss another episode of Keeping Goals. This week's patron of the week is Christian Duong. Christian, thank you so much for your support. I wouldn't be able to do what I do without the support of patrons like yourself. So here is your Keeping Goals shout out. Thank you again. Christian, alongside all other patrons, now also have access to discount codes for every product and every training program on the website, including the newly launched Goalkeeper Plyometrics program. So if you want to win Patron of the Week, if you want discount codes, if you want glove giveaways, boot giveaways, Skype calls, and all the other benefits received by patrons, make sure you sign up using the link below this video. But thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next Sunday for the next episode of Keeping Goals. Take care, look after yourselves, keep working hard, keep chasing improvement as always, and I'll speak to you in a bit.